Hello again everybody and welcome back to Down to Earth with Jim. I hope you're all keeping well. Today I'm down at the allotment in the greenhouse. I'm going to be potting up our 40 different varieties of tomato. We've gone a little bit crazy with tomatoes this year and we've got about 150 tomatoes here. I'm not going to be keeping them all, I'm probably going to be giving most of them away. But now that it's starting to warm up a little bit, we have had quite a lot of frost over the last couple of weeks, so I didn't want to risk bringing these tomatoes down and losing them all. I would have lost a lot of time and effort, and I would have been gutted. But now it is warming up a little bit, and this greenhouse should be enough to keep these plants protected. You know, nighttime temperatures now aren't really forecast to get any lower than 5 or 6 degrees for the foreseeable. So I'm confident that this greenhouse will protect them. So I'm going to be putting all these on today, and there are quite a lot of them. This is just one of the trays, there's another one over there. And they have started to get a little bit leggy. I'm not too worried about that though, they're not too bad. But we've got a little bit of a trick which we're going to use to fix these so they're not leggy anymore. And yeah, if I'd left them another couple of weeks at home, they would have become stressed. And I don't have the room at home to be potting these on, so I had to wait a little bit to get them down to the greenhouse. So 40 varieties of tomato. I'm really excited to grow these this year. I've got quite a lot of interesting ones, and I'm going to be going over that while I'm potting these on. I'm speeding it up. I'm not just going to be potting them on and watching me. That would probably be a little bit boring. But yeah, I'm going to talk about which varieties I'm growing and a little bit about them as well. I grew 20 of these last year and I've got 20 new varieties which I'm growing, so I do hope you enjoy. Sit back, grab a cup of tea and enjoy. So for those of you who do not know who I am, and if you're new to the channel, I'm James and this is my allotment where I do everything vegetable gardening related. I share my tips, advice and knowledge that I have, and hopefully I can learn some new things off you as well. And remember, if you like the video, remember to hit that like button as well because it really helps a lot. Okay, so we've got our potting mix here. Nothing special, just multi-purpose compost. I have put a little bit of bloodfish and bone in there as well for extra nutrients, just to give them a little bit of a helping hand, because I don't know how long they're going to be in these 9cm pots for. You know, it depends when the conditions allow, to be honest with you, and there are things in the polytunnel which need to move out first, like the 40 buckets of potatoes, for example. So it's probably going to be around early May, maybe middle of May. So, you know, I want the soil to have a good bit of nutrients in for these tomatoes, just in case there is a bit of a delay with planting them out to their final positions. But yeah, so these tomatoes are quite leggy. Not really bad, but they are getting a little bit. So I'm just going to pull one out and show you how I am doing these. Quite a nice root system on there, that's good to see. Not completely pot bound, but I think it was just because they're so dense in these module trays. There's 84 cells in, so because they're all so closely packed together and they were on the windowsill, they have got a little bit leggy, as you can see. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be planting these in this pot as deep as I possibly can, because with tomatoes, you see all them hairs on the stem. Each one of these hairs, when they touch soil, they will grow roots out of them. Now what we're going to do, we're going to bury it probably to about there. And what's going to happen is roots are going to form all the way along this part of the tomato. In fact, I'm going to bury it all the way to the bottom of this pot, like that. See, it's all the way in there. Put my compost in like that. It's right up to, just another tip as well, guys, when you're pulling out your tomatoes from the modules and transplanting them, handle them by the first set of leaves like that, because if they lose them, it doesn't really matter. They lose them anyway. So Yep, I'm filling it right up, and it's going to be going right up to them first set of leaves there, like that. Can't do it any deeper than that. Really deep. And then roots are going to form all the way along that buried stem, and it's going to actually benefit us. It's going to produce a stronger root system. So we've eradicated the problem of the tomato plant being leggy, and we've also given it a helping hand with the root system development as well. Now, as you can see, it is still a little bit leggy. You know, it's not too bad, but that's going to grow. That stem is going to thicken out as it does so. And when we plant them out into the final position, we're also going to be planting it deep again, as deep as we can. In fact, all this stem here is going to be underground. So if they end up being leggy again when they go out, I'll just bury it again. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So I've actually got 40 different varieties of tomatoes which we're growing this year. Some of them we got from swaps, and some of them we bought from Anna from SeedEnvy and Niall Radford from NRtomato seed. I will leave a link to their Etsy shop in the description below if you're interested, if you want to go check it out. So starting off with some of the varieties which I'm growing from last year, starting with the F1 hybrids, we've got Honeymoon F1, which is a really nice pink coloured tomato. It's really sweet. One of the best tasting tomatoes out there apparently. I found its resistance to blight as well. I found that it's quite susceptible to blossom end rot though, so you have to make sure that it's consistently watered. Okay, so next we've got Sun Gold F1, a really nice orange coloured cherry tomato, really sweet and very productive. I really like this one. This is one of our favourite cherry tomatoes last year, so we're definitely growing that one again this year. And then we've got Sweet Aperitif, another F1 hybrid, a very productive and incredibly sweet cherry tomato. We really liked this one last year as well, so we're growing this one again. Then we've got Shirley F1, a productive salad variety with good flavour and good disease resistance as well. This is just a really nice standard cordon salad tomato. Okay, moving on, we've got Black Opal, a dark coloured cherry tomato, which is tangy but quite sweet. It's quite an unusual tasting one, this one. We really liked this one last year. And then moving on, similar to that, we've got another black tomato, Black Beauty. This one's really popular amongst gardeners at the moment because it's a very unusual one. One of the darkest tomato available actually, and I find it's got a really nice flavour. It's red inside actually, believe it or not, and the dark pigment is actually due to high amounts of anthocyanin, which is a pigment which is also found in blackberries and blueberries. So moving on, we've got Indigo Blue Beauty, which was one of our favourites from last year. This is a beefsteak variety, and it has a lot of anthocyanin in the shoulders, which is why they've got that indigo colour on the top. So this is a really nice tasting one, and as I said, it was one of our favourites from last year. Then we have Crushed Heart, which is an unusual heart-shaped tomato and I find it's got a really nice flavour as well with few seeds, and it's quite meaty, so nice for making sauces. Then moving on again, we've got Brad's Atomic Grape, which is a plum tomato, and this one is also very unusual. It's quite interesting to look at, and you sort of get galaxy vibes when you're looking at this one. And it's green inside, which is unusual. Next up, we have Barry's Crazy Cherry, which definitely lives up to its name. These are absolutely covered in these yellow lemon-shaped cherry tomatoes, which are really great for snacking on. So if you like a tomato for snacking on, then Barry's Crazy Cherry is definitely one to grow. Then we have banana legs, which was a really unusual paste type last year, which we found was really nice in sauces. We're growing that one again because we thought it had a really nice flavour, and it's got a bit of a novelty to it. It's quite unusual, so that is what we're going to be growing again this year. Next up, we have Large Barred Boar. which is a very large beefsteak tomato with these brownish, sort of maroonish stripes. This one was really rich in flavour and juicy, so this one was another favourite from last year. Michaela wasn't too sure on this one, but I really like this one. Then we have green zebra. As the name suggests, it is a green tomato, so it's quite difficult to tell when it's ripe. But I found that we only had a couple of these last year, but we're going to try growing them again. The ones that we did eat, though, we found that the flavour was quite pleasant, and they are quite an interesting one to add to the garden. So we're going to be trying this one again this year. Then next we have Kellogg's Breakfast, which almost looks like a pumpkin, and we found this one is quite nice cooked. We had this one cooked with our breakfast last year, and we thought it went really well with it. Then we have Pink Brandywine, which was another favourite from last year. We found that it has a very, very sweet flavour, especially for a beefsteak. But Brandywine tomatoes are said to be the best tasting tomatoes out there, so we're not really surprised. But we're definitely going to be growing this one again this year. And yeah, I think this one's well worth growing, or any Brandywines really, but this one is especially nice because it's got a really nice pink colour to it. Then we have Cherokee Purple, which is a productive and tasty old variety with a green top and sort of like a purplish red bottom. Found this one tasted quite nice, and yeah, we're just going to try growing this one again, see how it goes. We only grew one of these plants last year, and we got a few tomatoes off it. Next up we have Artisan Blush Tiger, which looks like tiger stripes, and it's a really striking colour actually. Very productive and prolific, and this was cropping well into November last year, and I was actually surprised at how many we actually got. We only actually grew one of these plants, and it was absolutely covered, and I had to keep chopping down the plant because it just kept bushing out everywhere. So this one's a really nice one to grow. Next we have White Cherry, which is a large cherry tomato type, and we found that this one isn't overly sweet. It's just somewhere in the middle between fresh and sweet, so it's just a nice tomato for snacking on really. Quite similar to the Barry's Crazy Cherry. Okay, I hope I pronounced this one right. Costoluto Fiorentino, which is an Italian beefsteak tomato, and this is a ribbed type. I think it looks really unusual, and it's quite an interesting one. It's also got quite a nice flavour. This variety didn't do very well for us last year. We only got a couple off one plant, but we're going to try it again, see how it goes. Okay, so the last variety which we grew last year, which we're growing again this year, is San Marzano, which is a classic Italian paste tomato. We're going to grow quite a few of these because we want to make a lot of sauces as well. So hopefully I will have space left after all these heritage tomatoes that I'm growing to hopefully grow a few tomatoes for making sauces. Okay, now we're moving on to the new varieties of tomato which we're growing this year. And most of these have a lot of anthocyanin pigment in them, so they all are quite interesting colours. Starting off our list of new varieties which are growing this year, we've got Sartrelois, which is a large beefsteak type with fruits averaging 10 to 20 ounces, and yeah, they each have a stunning colour, and the flavour is said to be quite tropical in nature. So I'm really looking forward to growing this one. It almost doesn't even look like a tomato actually. It's got a very interesting bright yellow colour inside, and that anthocyanin on the shoulders just adds to the contrast. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Then we have Taiga or Taiga. No, some of these I'm not sure if I'm getting the pronunciation right, but this one is a very sweet tomato with fruit-like flavour, Now this one's said to be really nice, one of the best tasting tomatoes out there at the moment. So I'm really looking forward to growing this one. Then we have black strawberry. They kind of look a little bit like strawberries as well, with their blue, scarlet, and gold marbling on them. And I'm looking forward to growing this one. The fruits are only around about 1 ounce in size, so they're quite small, and it's said to be fruity with a hint of grape and plum. So that should be interesting. I'm looking forward to trying them. Next up, we have Cosmos, which is an unusual and quite futuristic looking tomato with a lot of anthocyanin and these interesting layered spots, which is probably why they're called Cosmos, because they kind of look like stars. So that's quite an interesting one. Then we have Rebel Starfighter Prime, which is a very unusual and interesting heart-shaped tomato, and it's a very attractive one with deep red flesh. And yeah, this one's supposed to be a really nice tasting tomato as well. And you wouldn't even think it's a tomato by looking at it. It's a very interesting one indeed. So this will add a lot of interest to the greenhouse this year. Okay, next up we have Sergeant Peppers, which is another anthocyanin tomato with purple, black top and a pink red on bottom. It's another ox-heart tomato, quite similar to Rebel Starfighter Prime actually in a way, the same shape, just a different colour. And this one's another interesting one which I'm looking forward to growing this year. Then we have Blood Moon, which is a big 9 to 12 ounce tomato with brown, green stripes. Then we have Lucid Gem, which is said to be sweet with fruity notes, and it's a meaty tomato with very few seeds as well. And as for the appearance, it's yellow-orange flesh with red marbling. So yeah, a very eye-catching tomato indeed. Then we're also growing Mar Azul, which is a Spanish heirloom tomato, and this one has deep blue shoulders due to high levels of, you guessed it, anthocyanin. The flavour is said to be delicious, so this is another one which we're really looking forward to growing. We're looking forward to growing all of them, but you know what I mean. Okay, then we have Amethyst Jewel, which is a beautiful dark pink tomato with dark purple shoulders. The flavour is said to be fruity, sweet tomato flavour, and it's said to be juicy as well. Okay, next up we have Alice's Dream, which is a yellow to black tomato which can weigh up to 400 grams. It's said to have a citrus aroma with quite a complex sweet flavour. And next we have Queen of the Night, which is another dark coloured tomato like Black Beauty. It's a German variety, a salad type with, once again, high levels of anthocyanin, and the inside is a deep crimson colour. So we also have quite a few varieties which we acquired from swaps. We've got Pink Berkeley Tie-Dye, Xanadu Green Goddess, Evil Olive, Orange Orangutan, Mirabelle Jaune, Pineapple Pig, White Beauty, and Coeur de Boue. Okay, so that is all of these tomatoes, all separated from the module trays and potted up. We do have quite a few left, which we'll be giving away. It's impossible to grow absolutely all of them. I've also potted up a few of these peppers as well. Obviously, I didn't do that in the video because unrelated to tomatoes. But yeah, we've got some more in here as well. Some other varieties which are germinating now. Some over there, some different ones. So all in all, 40 varieties. So very exciting times ahead. Yeah, we've got loads. Quite a lot of San Mazzanos as well. Like these San Mazzanos here. some San Mazzanos over there, sauce tomatoes. We're doing quite a lot of sauce tomatoes as well. So yeah, excellent. All potted up now. Took me about an hour in total. It's quite therapeutic, I've found, potting up all these tomatoes. And then in about 3 weeks or so, they're going to be going into the polytunnel. Some are going to be going into 30-litre containers in this greenhouse. Some are going to be going in that little greenhouse, 6x6 greenhouse. And I think this new polytunnel out here is going to be for peppers. So 2 greenhouses and a polytunnel for tomatoes and a polytunnel for peppers. Hopefully we'll be able to fit them all in. So that was my tomato potting on video explaining what varieties I am growing this year. I hope this inspired you to also try some of these varieties as well. And I hope you found the video entertaining. So if you liked the video, then remember to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you can see when I upload new content just like this in the future. So I hope you all stay safe. Thank you very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Happy gardening and stay safe.